St. Clairsville on this November. We have seen you eat and bathe and birth. And we've enjoyed it very, very much. How about you, Grandma?
Well, I don't think that there has been anything more beautiful in my life than to have lived to see a great-granddaughter as beautiful as you are and were, Erica. It was something that very few people have lived to see in their lives, and I am very grateful for this.
I'm very, very happy to be a part of it. And we certainly enjoyed this weekend with you. And you certainly were a beautiful, or are a beautiful child. Don't you think so?
To me, yeah. Nobody is more beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And you have probably lived to see far greater achievements in science and in the worldly things than we have ever known about.
Yeah. Well, you're going to come into a great world, at least I hope you do. And you certainly have wonderful parents. And we're certainly we're glad to be a part of your life for this short time here.
Yeah. And we saw your father hover over you and kiss you, Erica, and think that you were the most precious child in the world, and I hope you will be that too.
Yeah, we've seen Grandma Ruth and great-grandma Esther feed you and bathe you and really enjoy you very, very much. I hope you're always a source of pleasure to other people.
Like your mother was. Like your mother is and was. She was always a source of pleasure to everybody near her. Always.
And we certainly wish you the best of luck for your future.
And that's about all we can say to you, dear. We love you. We loved you from the moment you were born. We saw your first picture. And we enjoyed every minute.
We've taken a lot of pictures of you.
Yeah.
I hope they come out all right.
Yeah. And that's about it.
Tell them something about yourselves.
Well,
we live in a very modern home, and it's a home that's conducive to a very wonderful way of living. The home itself is a way of life to us. We enjoy the outdoors equally as much as we enjoy the indoors. We enjoy having people there. It's a house that's conducive to the presence of people, and they love to come to our home, and we love to have it.
Talk.
not yet.
No, well, you talk first. Zeg me toch eens.
Au. Should I talk?
Yeah.
Hello. I'm so proud you have such a beautiful little girl. Well, she's coming from a nice family. They all got beautiful children and smart ones. And now, as I'm a great-grandmother, I'm awful proud of her. And I hope you and your father should be proud of you. Well, what could I say anything else?
All right.
I got a big family, happened to be the girls won me. Because you just the second in my family, but I got little girls. And I'm sure proud and happy to see you as beautiful as you are. Well, Eric, I was glad I lived the day to see you, and I hope I see you more. Because my time is going pretty quick.
See.
And I love you, Erica. I do, doll. She's looking this way. She knows her name.
Erika, Joachim Heideler, deine schwarze Augen haben mir sie gezeugt, weil du bist a shine Mädel, and I hope you should be a nice Mädel. When Erika, Mama will go to teach, go to school, I will go and be your babysitter. Yeah, I will be your babysitter. And something else. And you will see your uncle and your brother. You will have a brother, and I will see your tante, and you will come more to grandpa and to grandma for a visit. And the next time you'll be a bigger girl, and we like to see you all more often in our house. That is the way it goes, but I come to...
Erika, doll, I never believed I'd be so happy to see a little girl. 'Cause I got 3 daughters myself, but I got more grandsons than granddaughters. But you won the prize. You're sure adorable, and I hope a lot of luck for your parents with you. And I hope to see you grow up and be a good girl.
Erika, when you be a big girl, Grandpapa buy you an automobile, and you will drive a nice machine. And you will come taking Grandpa for a ride. And we are going both of them for a ride in park, and we'll see and we will see everything. So that.
Well, what could I say more? Erika, doll, you are darling. You're so smart. Look at your mommy and your daddy. And you sure love can be helped. You love. And I'm awful proud. I got a lot of sisters. I used to have a lot of sisters. Lots of brothers, but they was all smart. And I'm very proud and happy about it.
Erika?
Now,
You're a better fisherman than I am.
I'm a fisher lady, I'm not a fisherman.
That's right. Are we on camera? We are on camera. We are talking. My name is Saul, and your name is Ruth. We are married in 1937 after going together for 5 years.
Oh, that's a long time.
It is. It's a very, very long time. And we've done very, very many things, and we've been very, very fortunate. We had 2 wonderful children, and now we have 4 wonderful grandchildren.
And 4 wonderful children.
4 wonderful children. That's right. There are a few secrets I want to tell you about, but no one must ever know about this. During the Second World War, I was a spy for the FBI, and I parachuted over Germany, naturally. And I did an awful lot for this country. In fact, if it hadn't been for me, we might have lost the war. Although some people say if I had been more active, we would have lost the war.
That's right.
That's true. Yeah.
That's right.
Today we're in St. Clairsville, celebrating, just being together. It's the date is November the 9th, 79. My God, we're getting old.
How old are you?
I am, the truth?
The truth.
I am 67. I will be 68 on February 12th. And you are...
I can speak for myself now.
Okay.
And I am 65 this year in December.
You're only
December
64 today.
11th.
Yeah, you will.
Today?
Yeah, you'll be
Yes.
65. That's right. And we love each other very much.
Had a good life.
We had a wonderful life.
Lots
We
of
are
ups.
having a good life.
We had a lot of ups and downs.
Yeah, but all real nice. We expect to sign a mortgage for 30 years, so we know that we're going to be around for the next 30 years.
That's right.
That's within the next year.
And I'm going to redecorate.
Your parents.
Oh, my parents were Morris, who was born in Russia. He came to this country as a very young man and unfortunately died at a very young age. And my mother's name was Esther. Her maiden name was Meisner. She also came to this age at this country at a younger age, and they married, and they had a very, very nice life. They lived in Pittsburgh, where I was born. We're all three of us. My brother Irving and my sister Rhoda. We were all born in Pittsburgh. We came here when I was 11 to Michigan when I was 11 years old.
Denise, Stan, and Lindy. It is so great to be in St. Clairsville. I'm so glad I came up to your bat mitzvah, Lindy. It was absolutely magnificent, and we're having such a wonderful week here. We love Florida. We love our new life in Florida, and we hope you both, all four of you, come down and visit us very often. We love having you, and we love coming up and visiting you.
He didn't say wait. Why did you give me that? Hi, Denise, and hi, Erica. This is Grandpa talking, saying a few words because we're going to be in Florida. We want to let you know that we're going to miss you very much. Erica, make sure you take care of Denise because she's your little sister, and she's going to depend upon you a lot. Erica and Denise, I want to sing you a little song that I used to sing your daddy when he used to go away on vacation, and it goes like this. Lights are low since you went away. I'm gonna miss you so since you went away. Erica and Denise. That is just about part of the song, and your daddy used to love it, and he used to write me letters, and I hope you drop us a card or call me on your CW because we're waiting for your messages all the time. Erica, be a good girl in school. I want you to be a good student like your daddy was. Denise, you study hard, and you're going to be a good student too. I know you enjoy other things to do, and you're going to be growing up pretty soon. We're going to miss you, and we'll see you in July or in August. Here's your mommy to say a few words.
Your grandma.
Your grandma, yeah.
Have a wonderful time at camp, Erica. I'm sure you will. And Denise, we can't wait until you fly down and spend a week with us in Florida. We are going to plan such a good week for you, and then you'll drive back with us, and we'll have such a great time together. And it's so much fun coming back every so often and see how you have grown into such nice young ladies. You really are getting tall. I love watching you play softball and be little brownies, and now Erica's going to be a Girl Scout, and your mother's bat mitzvah was beautiful, and I'm sure yours is going to be beautiful.
And I hope we don't run out of tape. We're having a long movie here, Eric and Denise. I hope you will look at these pictures often, and you'll know what a good time we had making them. Go ahead.
I love reading your stories at night, your little books, Ramona, and it's fun watching you listen. You pay such good attention, and Graham enjoys the stories just as much as you do. It's fun seeing what that little Ramona does, and I like listening.
Asher, I was born in Detroit, Michigan, in a big city, and I grew up in a big city, so coming to a small town once I married Saba was a real experience for me. We met when I was a junior in college. My cousin was fixing me up with a friend of his from law school, and Saba got my name and said, I want to go out with your cousin. And we met. Our first date was the Michigan-Navy game, and that was in 1967. We got married on July 20th, 1969, and that was the day that we landed on the moon. We got married at my grandmother's house.
You know, I grew up right around here. We live in a very small town, St. Clairsville, Ohio. I grew up in a little town nearby, Bel Air. Graduated from Bel Air High School in 1962, went to Oberlin College, was an economics major, and then went to the University of Michigan where I met Safta. She told you our story. After we got married, I worked for about 6 years with another group of lawyers, and then in 1976 I opened up my own law practice, and I've been practicing ever since, 35 years at this time. But it's not all work and no play. Lots of hobbies. We play golf together. Your mommy was a stamp collector with me. We're all ham radios. I'm N8CGE. Soft is N8FLT. Your mommy is N8VAL or KA8VAL, forgetting those license calls already. And your sister, Aunt Erica, is KA8NXV. So it's not been all work and no play.
We got married after I graduated from Eastern Michigan University, and he graduated from law school, and we came back to Wheeling, West Virginia, and lived in an apartment in Wheeling for 3 years before your Aunt Erica was born. We then moved to this house in St. Clairsville, Ohio, and have lived here for the past 35 years. We got married on July 20th, which is a very important day. It was the day that we landed on the moon. And when we left for our honeymoon, the only place that was open was a bowling alley. So we always laughed that our first meal was a bowling alley. You know, when Saba went out on his own, your mommy was a year old. We carried her in her stroller up the steps to what would be Saba's first office. And I had taught school for 3 years before your Aunt Erica was born, and then I stayed home for 10 years while Aunt Erica and your mommy were little. And we were very involved and are still involved in our temple. And we had fabulous Purim carnivals that we kind of got started and organized. We built a sukkah in our backyard. It's the only sukkah that was ever built in St. Clairsville, Ohio. We had wonderful Passover Seders in our home, and once your Aunt Erica became a rabbi, she even led them for us. But before that, Saba had led them.
And then on April 3rd, 2004, our lives changed because the previous evening we got a call from your daddy saying that he had taken your mommy to the hospital. We ran home after services, that's when we got the call, packed at 3 o'clock in the morning, left for the Pittsburgh airport, got to the airport and pled with the ticket counter agent, please let us on a plane. Finally we got on a plane. We got to the hospital at 12:30 because of the time differences, and there we learned that you were born at 4:06 a.m. You weighed 6 pounds 12 ounces. You were 20 1/4 inches tall, and it was just wonderful. We stayed with your mommy and daddy till the bris. We had never really gotten to participate in a bris. After all, we had 2 girls. And this is largely a non-Jewish community where we live, so we hadn't been participants, but it was beautiful. The Moel was a pediatrician. He numbed you. I was in charge of keeping your legs apart so that you left with the 10 toes that you came in with. And your daddy actually performed the mitzvot under the careful eye of the pediatrician or the mohel. He actually performed the mitzvot of the circumcision, which your Aunt Erica said is the longest and oldest tradition that exists in the world today. And of course, Safta and your other grandparents and your great-grandmother all made it lovely, lovely party. And we just had such a good time. We've been out to see you now 3 times in the 4 months you've been here. They hold you up to our computer every night so we can hear you. They put you on the telephone so we can talk to you. But let's talk a little bit about Safta and her political career.
And Saba talked about some of the hobbies that we had. Another hobby that we were interested in was politics. At one time, Saba ran for judge, and it was a very exciting time for us. I think that even though he didn't get elected, it was the whole experience that was wonderful. And so in your future, if you ever try to do something and don't accomplish it, that's not always what it's all about. Sometimes it's the journey that's important. I've since gone on to become St. Clairsville City Council person, and we attended 2 Democratic National Conventions, one in 1984 in San Francisco and the other in 1988 in Atlanta, Georgia.
Safta and Saba realized that 2,000 miles separate us. But you know, we've been there now 3 times in 4 months. Asher Solomon Kay, you're our hope, you're our future, you're our dreams, you fortify our belief in the future, and you reinforce our faith that there is immortality because we see it in you. We love you very, very much. We're going to conclude this now with saying, love from Saba.
And love from Safta.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Asher.
I am Emily Vital Cohen Asher, and I was born in Greece, and Patras, and the city of Patras, the capital of Peloponnesus, and I was born in 1923 on November 11, and a few days ago I was 82 years old. And today I am here in the beautiful house of Stanley and Linda, and to take my pictures and to remember my grandchildren and great-grandchildren. My parents, they were married in Salonika, Greece, in 1916. And they have me, the first child, 1923. On this picture, I am 10 months old, and on this picture is my mother and I, 2.5 years old, and our maid, what my mother brought her from Salonika. And this picture, I am 14 years old, and a Greek costume. 1940, the Greek government was in World War II with Italy, and they came, the Italians, and they destroyed, of course, a lot of the Greek Patras, of course, of all the Greece, and they came in
Patras, and they destroy us a lot. But we were living very, not too bad, like when the Nazis, they came there. And in 1942, we got in love, my husband and I. We were up in the, keeping ourselves from the bombs. And and he wanted to engage me, and I was engaged. I was 17 years old with my first husband. And 1942, I got married with him. And this is the picture when I got married with my husband, first husband, you know. And then after, I did not show them. And after 1943, we have to leave from the city because the Nazis, they came and they pick up almost all the Jews from Patras, but because we were wealthy, my parents and my husband, all of us, we went up in the mountains of Greece, very, very, very thousands of high, but without any road. We have to climb all the stones and the stone. And in the night, before we go into some village, we have to live outside in the fields, and we were afraid of the Nazis, and we were afraid of the wild animals, and we cannot put any fire because because the Nazis, they couldn't come and pick us up, you know. And then after, and we could not even put any fire because the animals, but we were all together close because it was cold, and we did not have anything to put it on our shoulders to cover ourselves, nothing. But when it's come, God bless us, and the animals or the Nazis, they did not come. And the next day, right away, we start walking up, and we went to a big village, and the name, it was Valatuna. And from then on out, we stayed there. We started giving, thank God we took some gold things with us, and we started giving gold to the diamonds or gold sovereigns or bracelet or whatever we have, for they to give us a little bit food to eat. We did not have any shoes almost or any cover for us, but with the gold things, we started having a little bit food. The food we wanted to have it, and after the Nazis, they wanted to come on this village, and unfortunately we have to go in another village higher. The name, it was Bar di Costa, and there we stayed for a few months. And but one time of a few months, the Nazis, they wanted to come there, and they came. But before they come there, we went to another village, my husband and I, because very high, the name Velisi. But my parents and my parents-in-law, Nathan parents, they were too old for they to come more, and they stayed in the village. And that time, the Nazis, they did not come to the village what we left, what they were our parents, but they came, and the village we went to Velisi. And there it was, we have to go and climb so high. I don't know how we make it. But anyhow, we went there, and then they came, the Nazis, there after we went in there. And what they did, they all the people, they went outside under the trees to hold themselves. And my husband, and they do not want us to go with them. No, 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 they were telling, you stay here, you stay in the house. Okay, but we don't have any other chance what to do, and we stay in the house. And then they came, the Nazis, and they destroyed the whole village, all the houses, all this village. They grow hams, pigs, and the pigs. They kill all the pigs, and they took them for their army. And I and my husband, we was looking from far away, and we see the Nazis. With the machine gun, and we got kissed, and we see how they were doing, destroy the houses and the animals and everything, and we kiss each other, my husband and I, and we say, this is it. Now they're gonna take it. We will have to say goodbye each other, and we was crying, and but God is make a miracle, Hashem Adonai Sebaot, and I don't know, he must put any drapes in front of the house, and they did not come and destroy the house or destroy kill their pigs. And after they left, and they come, the people, the villagers, they start crying, and they hurt themselves because they did not have houses, they did not have their pigs. But the people, they came to our house, and they see the house up and the pigs under their house. They told to us, you are a holy people, a miracle people, and they kneel in front of us, and they kiss us, and they were very happy with that. And then we have to come back, and the village, we were back. When we came back down to the village, we never have any food, or we don't have any cover. When we have to go to the bathroom, we have to use leaves of the trees. And I was a young person, I have my period, I have to use the leaves of the trees. I do not have any shoes, I did not have anything. I was hungry, and my mother have a golden purse. This is here, this golden purse, and she give it for for a little bread, you know, and for us to survive a little bit. I was very sick person. I have a fever. I was terrible, but thank you God, I survived. In 1945, it is a lot of stories, and this what is impossible to say everything. And when we went down to 1945 in Patras, there we did not have nothing. The soldiers, the company HUNRWA, what is like the Red Cross that time, he gave us a little bed, a small bed with one military blanket, and we have to sleep in there after, because we were sleeping before in the mountains and then after in Greece on the dirt. We don't have nothing. I forgot to say about before, when we have to come to go to the mountains, and to the sister of my first husband from Salonika, they took them and they put for they to send it to Germany, and she sent a little note to us, and they say to us, go away up in the mountains or wherever you wanted, because the Nazis, they're gonna take you, and like they took us. And then I and my husband, we went to Athens, and we saw the little notice, and there all of them they left, and we saved them too from Athens, you know. Anyhow, I am Emily Vital, and Vital is my ancestor, Chaim Vital, the Kabbalistic rabbi from Spain. I am a Sephardic Jew, and I carry blessings and from him. And the father of my mother, is my grandfather from Salonika. He was a Kabbalistic rabbi too, and he was a rabbi in one of the 52 synagogues in the city of Salonika. My first husband, after when we come down, he started getting a little bit not too well, and at the end, he started having a Parkinson disease. And he died in 1987 after 44 and a half years marriage. And with him, I have two children. First, it is my daughter Julia, and she's married to Harvey Louis Kay, my only one son-in-law, and my son. He's married with his wife, Lisa, the beautiful wife, Lisa, and they don't have any children, and he is an executive person of the 3M company, and this is the picture when they were young. This is my mother-in-law and I. This is his Julia, and this is his Louis, my son. And 19, and then when my first husband started a little bit working, we bought a clay pad for we to cook, because we did not have nothing. And some of our neighbors, they give us the first lunch, and we ask them to borrow us some spoons, and we put it on the floor because we did not have any tables or chairs, and we start eating from the bake, or all of us. It was my husband, I, my in-laws, and my parents. We would start eating each other from that, you know, and. But after we started getting a little better, and I say to my husband, I wanted to have children. And thank God, give me the happiness to have my daughter Julia, and to have my, where is now, my daughter Julia, which is this year again, my daughter Julia, and my son, and we start getting better and better, but the Greek government in 1955 started getting very poor, and they wanted to take the money of everybody. And then my husband said, this is it. We have to live, and we have to go to Aliyah, to United States of America. And then this is our picture when we came to United States. It's my husband, I, Julia, and Louis. This is his, you know, and we start getting better. I have to start 1956, August 16, we came to St. Paul, Minnesota, and I started working with my in-laws too. My father-in-law, Samuel Asher, and my mother-in-law, Regina Asher, but not my parents. And I forgot to say what I have two brothers. One is after me, I am the oldest, and my older brother is Marcos Mordechai Vital, and he is now in St. Paul, in Brazil. And I have another brother, the youngest, Victor Vital, and he is in St. Paul, Minnesota. He came after 11 and a half years, what I was, 1967, with my mother. My father was dead in Greece, and came, and he have three children. The first is Rachel, my mother's name, they give it to her, and then is Joseph, he have my father's name, give it to him, and then he's a DeMarcos, which DeMarcos, he gonna be a rabbi in a few years. Now he's going to a rabbinical school. But I forgot to say what my daughter and my son-in-law, they have three children. The first one is Evie Regina Kay. The one she is married with Darren Goodman, and they have two beautiful children, my great-grandchildren, with the name is Aaron, and he's 12 and a half years old. Next year, 2006, he will be on August bar mitzvah, and then they have the little Rachel. Her name is Rachel Shira Goodman, and she's 8 years old. And then they have the handsome grandson, my grandson, their son, Eric. And Eric, he's married with a beautiful girl. The name Denise, and they have a most beautiful, beautiful son, my great-grandson, and his name is Asher Solomon Kay, which I love him very, very much. And Denise's parents is Stanley and Linda, what are the most beautiful people, whatever person wanted to have for a friend or a relative. And this is my lucky life, what I have those in my life. Μακριά μου κι αν είσαι, μη λησμονήσεις, σαν με λατρεύεις, σαν μ' αγαπάς. Μακριά μου κι αν είσαι φως μου, μη λησμονήσεις, σαν μ' αγαπάς.
My name is Harvey Lewis Kay. I'm the father of Eric Asher Kay, who is the father of Asher Solomon Kay. That's kind of how I fit in the line. So I'm the grandfather of Asher Solomon Kay.
And I'm the grandma. I'm Julia Asher Kay. And I know by now you probably have met my mom on video, whose name is Emily Asher Cohen. And I was the first child, according to my mom, born after World War II. I was born February 12th, 1946. And I guess I was lucky to not have been born before. Now, I came to this country when I was 10 years old. We came from Patras, Greece, where I was born. And I want to tell you, oh my goodness, I spoke not a word of English, and I wouldn't wish this on anyone. To learn English as a second language was pretty devastating. It took me about 8 years to get through it, and then a day before I enter college, I meet this guy named Harvey.
I was born May the 18th, 1943 in Minneapolis, Minnesota. My father's name at that time was Max Kreitzman. My mother's name was Eleanor Rosen. They had been married at the end of the 1930s. I was born in 43 in the midst of World War II. My mother was a homemaker. My father was a salesman and spent a lot of time traveling. The story I got was that when he traveled, nobody could pronounce the name Kreitzman. And so they called him Mr. K. And when I was 6 years old, he legally changed our family name from Kreitzman to K. So now I'm Mr. K.
So I was telling you, when I came, I was 10 years old, and it was difficult. And then at 18, I met Harvey the day before entering college. And when I met Harvey, my last name, as you know by now, was Asher. And I had such a nice thick accent that I was pronouncing it Usher. So through Harvey and through our time together, and at this point of our lives, I'm 59 years old. I will be 60 this February. I can pronounce not only my previous last name, but a lot of other things. In any case, we're fortunate to have 3 children. Eve is our first, and she has 2 children at this point. Eric, our second, and he has our wonderful Asher. And Emily is 19 years old. So we love children so much that when I was 40 years old and Harvey 43, because we're 3 years apart in age, we wanted to have our Emily, and we did. And so obviously we're older parents with her. Now, what can I tell you about our lives together here in Phoenix, Arizona? I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself, and I would like Harvey to tell you about himself. First of all, I love life. I call myself the coat of many colors because I'm extremely eclectic. And I love to dance, I love to sing, and the way I get drunk is simply by dancing. I really feel I'm in another planet. Now, Harvey, why don't you tell them what you love to do?
Well, since my early days as a young child, I've been involved in synagogues and temples. And my professional education is that of a teacher, so I've really spent a lot of time teaching in temple schools. As a matter of fact, this past weekend I just returned from one of the annual retreats we take the students on. There was a point in our lives back in the early 70s and 80s when I was a director of education in several large temples, and ever since then have taught Sunday school. So that's kind of what I like to do for fun. I also like to go to the movies.
And you also like to do magic.
And I have been known to do some magic tricks.
I like to do most everything, from going to the movies, because I always call Harvey the movie buff, to swimming, as I said before, dancing, singing, bowling, miniature golfing, anything that's fun, you can count me in doing it. I'm adventurous in the sense that I enjoy anything and everything new. And I have a very wonderful thing in our family. We have relatives because of World War II. The family scattered all over the country, meaning outside the USA, obviously. We have relatives in England, we have relatives in Lyon, France, in Israel, and some left in Greece. And Brazil, that's right. My mother's, Emily Cohen, Asher Cohen's brother, Marcos, has an entire family in Brazil, São Paulo, Brazil. So we visited them, and I think we're the only ones in our family that visited all these relatives. And we venture out to do that. And I guess I would like Harvey to tell you of an incredible story that happened to us when I met the sister of my mother, Emily's mother, of Rachel, her sister in Israel. The sisters separated at 17 years old. One went to Israel, one went to France and ended up in Israel. And the sisters never met each other again. They died never seeing each other after being separated at 17. But Harvey and I were fortunate enough to be able to go to Israel, take slides of that sister, and show them to my grandma Rachel.
Finding this great aunt of Julia's named Esther in Jerusalem was an adventure all of its own. We came to Jerusalem for a convention, and part of the time we wanted to devote to finding this lady. We had only an address, and while I spoke a little Hebrew, I didn't speak enough Hebrew to find where this place was. But luckily, I had a cousin living in Jerusalem at the time. He spoke enough Hebrew to help us out, and he took us on an adventure to find Esther in the old section of town in a building that still bore the bullet marks from the 67 war.
In Jerusalem.
In Jerusalem. Upstairs in a dark hallway, and then he had to ask a neighbor where she lived, and it was like 3 languages. He spoke to them in Hebrew, and I think they were speaking some Greek, and then it was English to us.
And Ladino.
And Ladino, and finally we find Esther. But Esther didn't know we were coming, so she had no idea who we were. We were just 2 strangers off the street. So Julia had to try to explain
I had a letter.
to them, through the cousin, to the neighbor, to Esther, who she was and how she was related to her. Once she understood that, then it was Old Home Week. Please come in, please sit down, please have some coffee. And we chatted and took pictures and had a wonderful time.
Well, it was very interesting what happened because my Ladino, and by the way, in case you don't know what Ladino is, Ladino, I happen to be Sephardic. Sephardic people come from Southern Europe, and we don't speak Yiddish, we speak Spanish. And Ladino is mostly Castilian Spanish with a dab of Hebrew in there. And so this lady spoke Ladino. She did not speak Greek because she was from a part of Greece that was Thessalonica, and the Jewish people lived in their own section, and they spoke basically Ladino instead of Greek. My Ladino was very rusty. So we had, it was done from Hebrew to Greek to Ladino. Now I understood what this great aunt was saying in Ladino, but it was hard for me to speak it in Ladino. So it was an incredible thing, the way we were trying to communicate. But believe it or not, we did communicate. It was a most incredible afternoon, most incredible day. And years later, we were fortunate enough to meet up with her adopted children. And the way this great aunt, the story of this aunt goes, which I find incredible, she had another sister. It was my grandma, my mother's mother, Rachel. This was a sister of Rachel's, and there was another sister who had 10 children, and she lived in Thessalonica. When this sister that we met up in Israel left, she left to go to Lyon, France. She had adopted this child of the sister who had 10 people, and I think her name, I'm not sure of the name of that sister. I know Esther was the name of the lady in Israel, so we'll call the middle sister, okay? Now she had 10 children, so she gave Esther one of her children because Esther could not have children. So that child went with Esther to Lyon, and it was the only surviving child of that sister, because when the Nazi regime came to Thessalonica, all those children with their wives and husbands and all, they were all taken and they were all killed. So this one child did survive, and years later we were fortunate enough to meet up with him after the mother Esther was dead, and we met up with him in St. Paul. They came to visit us. And then we ended up going to Lyon, Harvey and I, to enjoy their company.
In recent years, one of the things that has brought us the most pleasure and joy has been exploring the world of spirituality, and especially its connection with Judaism. And in conjunction with this, we've opened our home on many occasions to friends of ours who feel the same way, for holidays and celebrations. Julia can tell you a lot more.
You know, it isn't just in recent years. Ever since I can remember, Judaism has meant a great deal to me. So much so that because of what happened during World War II, as a matter of fact, one thing that I do want you to know, when I was 2 years old, 1948, when Israel became a state, my parents were listening to who was voting yay or nay for that. And I still, at 2 years old, remember their happiness when a country voted yes, and they're booing when a country voted no. So Judaism obviously has meant a great deal to me and Harvey, both of us. So we've always opened our home and enjoyed holidays. And people, if you couldn't find a place, you were always welcome in our home. And I hope whoever's viewing this video, you open your home and you open your hearts to the main Judaic premise, which is to be kind to the strangers. We love you and we wish you mazel, luck, and beauty in all your lives.